10.2.6 Season 4. Is it worth it to come back? Yeah, every season, it comes with that question, is it worth it to come back? The final season of Dragonflight could be the one. The War Within, the World Soul Saga, everything looks promising. Is Season 4 worth it? Let's see what Marcellian Online has to say.
Season 4 has just been announced to release in a couple of weeks, actually on the 23rd and 24th of April, and it is time to come back to WoW. Or is it? It's always going to be a subjective discussion when we talk about this, and are we going to be shills, or are we actually going to speak the truth?
The shill question, the answer to that question is yes.
WoW, and whether you should play it or wait for the War Within. Let's see what we have. Well, right now we know that we're in 10.2.6, and 10.2.6 came with Plunderstorm and a bunch of other updates, but the real update is going to be Season 4 that launches on the 23rd and 24th of April. Great! Season 4 comes with all of the dungeons that Dragonflight released, with the exception of Dawn of the Infinites, because we've had it for enough time. I think it's time to go back to the roots. And we're going to have, well, not faded raids, but we're going to have awakened raids, and we're going to have all of the Dragonflight raids available at the same time, kind of on a rotation to keep us engaged and give us some fun content.
Yeah, this is a good, I do think, like, I understand he's going to summarize this.
We have a realm to destroy.
Caleb, thank you for the follow, man. Welcome to our Scourge. Look, I do think it's actually a good time to come back in Season 4. My brother just came back, and the reason why I was telling him is, hey, man, come back in Season 4. You get to, for one, experience all the raids, which is going to be awesome, right? You can do every raid in the expansion. You get to see all that content. Plus, you get to get massively cocked because you're going to get all your best-in-slot gear with that new gem system that they're going to have. Why not? It's the new Dinar thing. Well, why not come back now? Get your biz gear, get cocked for the next expansion, experience all the stories, all the content, everything, and get ready for the War Within. It's the best season to come back for sure.
On top of all of this, a bunch of other stuff is coming with Season 4
Get your Lego
and
X as
eventually
well. Yeah,
10.2.7 along the lines, which is still part of Season 4 and kind of in the same big bucket. Now, there's a lot to be excited about Season 4, but at the same time, I know some players, because I have some friends as well, that are like, nah, this is still not good enough. I'm going to wait for War Within. So which one are you?
Fine.
Should you change your mind? Should you actually play Season 4, 10.2.6, 10.2.7, or wait for the War Within? Well, let's see exactly what we have, because we can be subjective. We are content creators making content on WoW, so there is some bias, implicit bias there to begin with. And we're subjective in the sense that, we really love the game. We have a vested interest in playing the game, probably more than most people. So maybe us telling you to play or not to play is not really going to resonate with you all at the same time. So here's my subjective, I love playing WoW take, and here's that, listen, maybe you should wait for War Within take. First of all, let's look at the...
I've been playing the game since 2005. So to take my opinion on whether or not you should play the game, somebody who has never really stopped playing the game for, 18 years now? I'm a degenerate by definition. I fit the role, fit it perfectly. So, I'm going to tell you, yeah, it's a good time to come back, and I'm probably always going to say that. But in all honesty, the end of a patch at the end of an expansion is a great time to come back. The final patch is a great time to come back because you get to experience what everyone saw during the expansion. You get a bit of the story, and then you get ready to kind of get that gear that'll basically allow you to quest a bit easier. Because questing is a bit easier when you're geared out from the previous expansion. At least to start, like for the first 5 levels, if there are 10 levels total. So, why not? Why not? Come back. Join me.
Let's play WoW first.
In my degeneracy.
Season 4 is actually really cool, and to kind of give you the general opinion first and then go into the details, if you liked playing Shadowlands and BFA in any capacity, at least some parts of it, doing endgame, then you're gonna love Season 4 of Dragonflight, which I know that doesn't really say much, or if anything, that detracts you from playing even more, but hear me out. In terms of actual Mythic Plus and raids, Season 4 is actually really good. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. We've done plenty of videos on it, and I think you've seen probably or heard at least Bellular's video on the numbers of subscribers that WoW currently has, and
Yeah,
I think
it's
by
high.
the time you watch this, the GDC discussions will be live as well, so we will know exactly what's going on with the number of the players playing WoW. But we know one thing for sure is that WoW is being played more at this moment, before Season 4 releases, is being played more than it has ever been played in the last 2 expansions.
That's crazy, man.
In terms of actual people logging and all of that stuff. And in terms of subscribers as well, funny enough, this number came out after we've did all of the videos looking at logs and parses and saying that, dude, there's like 5 times more logs and parses now than ever since Legion. And that was like, dude, that doesn't make sense.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And a lot of people were like, oh, but this is all because of Season of Discovery. Season of Discovery 100% contributes to these numbers. But what I will say is, you know, as much as the Andes on each side of the Andy battle fight it out, I've said this before, most people do both. Most people hop between Season of Discovery and retail because, you know, they enjoy both, and the content cadence between the two kind of staggers. Blizzard does it intentionally so, where when one has content, maybe the other one has a lull, and they go back and forth. A lot of people hop between both of them, which is the right way to play, honestly. I am a retail Andy. I only stick to retail, really. But both of them are contributing to these numbers. Like you said, the parses are crazy high in terms of numbers, and that's all contributing to these really, really high 7.2 or 7.1 million subscribers, which is insane for a game that is essentially dead, as most people comment on my YouTube videos. So that's great. Man, looking back at this U.S. COVID lockdown, what a time to be alive that was. Holy shit.
And that was like, dude, that doesn't make sense.
Memories.
There couldn't possibly be 5 times more
Shadowlands
people.
lockdowns, man.
Where there are probably not 5 times more people, but there's definitely more people than we've had in the last couple of expansions. And there is a reason for that. The reason is very simple. Playing WoW is fun. And that has a lot to do with what Dragonflight is. And if you haven't played Dragonflight yet, or if you've played, let's say, first season, then you're like, maybe this isn't for me and you trailed off, here's stuff that you might enjoy, but I'm not saying that you should. You might enjoy the new talent system. The classes that are actually played right now, after multiple reworks for a lot of them, majority of the classes, are actually really fun.
Yeah.
The talent system is really cool. All of what your class does.
The talent system is actually great. Dragonflight's talent system is my favorite that it's been in a long time. That's why I was afraid of hero talents. I'm really scared they're going to mess it up with hero talents, to be completely honest with you, because I actually think the rework of the talent trees, where you get your spec and then you get your class and your spec tree down, I think it's the best it's been in a long time. So they're adding to it. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, definitely coming back and mastering your talent tree, figuring out how you want to line everything up. It's a good time to come back for that, for sure.
Is incorporated within your class. There's no external power system that you need to grind to make your class complete. Remember those times back in BFA when your spec just didn't feel right unless you had those Azurite traits?
Yeah.
Or in Legion with the artifact weapon, or in Shadowlands with the legendaries? Yeah, I remember those times too. Those sucked. But that's not the case anymore. Your class is actually complete. Sure, the tier set makes it a little bit more fun, and having really cool trinkets bumps the numbers as well, but that's always going to be the case, right? That's tier sets have been a thing since vanilla, and trinkets also since vanilla. So that's not necessarily a surprise there or anything new. But the classes are fun. And this, of course, could be subjective. They're way more fun than they have been probably ever that I have personally played. They're more intricate, and the simple classes are more fun, have more engaging rotations. But you know, this can all be subjective, so you might not like it.
I agree with him on this point totally. Yeah, classes are a lot of fun right now. I will say as well, Dragonflight is the most alt-friendly expansion they've ever made, by far. So, you know, if you were coming back in the final season of Legion or final season of BFA, like you just mentioned, you had the legendary grinds, you had the artifact, you know, whatever the hell it was, artifact weapons, you had the Azurite armor, like annoying things that you would have had to grind out. The fact that Dragonflight is so alt-friendly also means it's very main-friendly, right? If you're coming back for the first time in a long time, you will be able to gear out extremely fast. You'll be able to do a bunch of things to get gear. You'll be able to jump right into Mythic Plus. Mythic Zero is going to be a new way to jump in. No timer, no affixes. You can get straight into the new season and grind out content real quick and get geared super fast. So In terms of like, oh, I'm so far behind, is it worth it to come back? You will catch up, I promise you. If you play the game for a month, you'll be right up with everybody else. So I played Mage for years as a main, changed to Evoker for this expansion. I really love Devon Aug specs. Yeah, no, there's a lot of That's another thing to come back for. See what you want to play for the next expansion, right? That's a great one, Kanasai. Definitely come back and see what class you want to play for the next expansion. Test some things out. Like I said, the game is super alt-friendly right now. You can make a couple classes and see what you want to main for the next expansion.
Like it.
Maybe
sure,
you want to be
I
an
do have
evoker.
to point the elephant in the room. Some classes did not
I'm always
receive
DK too, of
the new
course.
treatment as much as everybody else. DKs, for instance, are still some of the classes that still need reworks, and that's funny because I'm actually considering
What up,
maining a
Ollie?
DK despite Rogue being one of the best designed classes together with Red Paladins and Havoc Demon Hunters, and still I want to play DK because it plays really well.
DK is the best class in the game. I mean, that's why he wants to play it. Of course, same with me.
Even if it's kind of the same playstyle, it's been chiseled, it's been refined, it does really well. And that essentially applies to all of the
Professions
specs.
are tough.
Now that's the gameplay part of it. In terms of end game, raids have never been more fun, where Amir Drisil is definitely the most fun raid we've had so far. And if we're gonna take Shadowlands as any indication for the Season 4 Awakened/Fated style of raiding, where you have all of the raids on a rotation, raiding is gonna be even more fun because, first of all, if you have thought or have had this thought at any point in time, coming in Season 4, man, I just don't want to prog all of the raids again, or I haven't played the raids before, or I've played them before, I don't remember what they're doing anymore. The raids are going to get nerfed. Turbo, Giga nerfed, they're being nerfed at the moment, so essentially, if you've progressed through Vault of the Incarnates in Season 1 and you're thinking that you forgot 100% of it, you're going to have an easier time playing it, like significantly easier time playing it.
If you did Vault in Season 1, you are going to find Neltharian's Lair and Amir Drasil to be much easier. They are way easier raids. Vault was the hardest raid in this entire expansion, so if you did Vault, you're going to find the other ones to be a cakewalk. Plus, in terms of just in general fated raids, I remember how they were in Shadowlands. They had affixes kind of to them. They had those little extra abilities, but it made them easier, to be honest. So fated raiding was fun. It was easy, and you just got geared as shit.
It
So I
now in
expect the
Season
same
4
here.
with everything going on. That's the point of it. That's why we only have access to a raid, well, the Awakened version of the raid, that is, because all the other raids are still up. We only have access to those once every 3 weeks, and that's going to be so easy that you're probably going to just clear the entire heroic bosses, if you're like a heroic raider, in half of your normal raid night. That's how it ended up being in Shadowlands over the course of the patch. So you essentially can just do an entire clear of an entire raid within 1 week with no actual progress issues. Maybe if you go on Mythic, maybe if you haven't cleared it before, maybe if it's a little bit of your above your skill level, but you are going to kill bosses harder than what you are used to within the Awakened season. That is how Season 4 for Fated worked in Shadowlands. That's how it's going to be now. And because it's going to be easier, it's more fun, there's more incentive to play it. Plus, the loot is crazy, especially in Amir Drisil. Farming
you're gonna
the loot,
get geared as
that
shit.
cool weapon, the legendary weapon, if that's something for you, is going to be really, really fun, and the items are actually really strong. So that's always great for an RPG, to be able to have some loot that, you know, gives you the power, gives you the feelings like, man, I'm just gonna smack some stuff with it. And
I use a term for it. It's called helicopter dicking, and that's what you're going to do at the end of the expansion. You're just going to helicopter dick all over everything. Nothing's going to scare you in the world right now. You're going to get all the best in slot gear, and you're going to feel like a god for a couple months here before the next expansion comes out. That's fun as hell, so why not?
obviously, gearing your character through the endgame content, and we're going to get to Mythic Plus as well, is going to be great for the War Within launch, when the pre-patch is going to come sometime in the summer, if they're going to be respecting their roadmap for 2024, and you're going to start leveling within War Within by fall, probably. We don't really have the release date, but roadmap, once again, then, you know, having all this extra loot is going to feel that much better going to the War Within. Now, in terms of Mythic Plus, the system has also been made way more fun. First of all, we don't have a seasonal affix anymore. If you've missed that part, the affixes themselves are way easier. They've been nerfed
That's
multiple
a W.
times. And The scaling is better, essentially. Plus, you now have a meaningful loot progression as you go through Mythic Plus, where you can loot items and constantly upgrade their eye level more and more and more to kind of
So if you don't know, if you're new to coming back, there is no more going all the way through like 20 plus levels of keys anymore. They squished it down to 10. So now each level you progress up the keys, and Mythic Plus is going to be more meaningful. You're going to feel a bit of a change every time. The loot's obviously going to go up too. But the whole progression system for Mythic Plus is going to be better now. They got rid of the seasonal affix, which was just an annoying piece of shit thing. And I will tell you, since you're probably coming back now, if you didn't play Season 3 was the most fun I've had in a Mythic Plus season since Legion. And why is that? Because it was actually one of the easier Mythic Plus seasons they've had since Legion. Right, gone are the days of the super difficult, annoying affixes. I feel like they've gotten back to, let's just make the game fun rather than make it hyper difficult where you're just grinding out and dying 36 times. Now, if you want to do difficult content, push the key higher. Yeah, why not? But the difficulty, I feel like, ramps up better. All the progression's better now. And Mythic Plus in general is and probably one of the better places it's been in a long time.
Reflect the overall progression within your Mythic Plus season, or even in raids as well, because the item upgrade system is also present in the raid, to make it feel like you're not wasting your time or that you're not losing out on eye levels for not playing a harder content. You can still get decent gear from lower content if you're not interested in getting the highest level of content, period.
True.
Now, another thing about Mythic Plus, which is probably a controversial topic, but I am going to stand my ground on this. Dragonflight dungeons are the funnest dungeons so far. Sure, they're the newest dungeons so far, and we've played them the least out of all of the dungeons, but they're also very, very big on AoE. And big AoE has always been some of the best and most fun times people have had in Mythic Plus. I can speak for myself. I can speak for anybody that has said anything about how fun M Plus is when there's big giga packs and giga AoE. That is just stupid, ridiculous fun, since that's kind of like the majority, or at least most of the Dragonflight dungeon pool that we're gonna have in Season 4. And on top of all of this, concerning both Mythic Plus and raids, we're gonna have the dinar system, where you essentially play the...
Yeah, in terms of like Dragonflight dungeons, I kind of disagree with them here. They're good. Some of them are good, some of them are, no coup defensive. The first time you do it, it's going to be fun because you're flying. You're doing dynamic flying, dragon riding in a dungeon. That's kind of cool. But as a tank, it gets kind of annoying to like make sure the group's following you, tanking it properly. It's all right. It's all right. Algothar Academy, that first tree boss is a piece of shit. I hate that place. There's some good ones. There's some fun ones for sure. What was probably my favorite one? Maybe Ruby. I don't know, but they're all right. They're all right. Yes, he is right though. They do have big AoE pulls, which is fun for sure. And yeah, in terms of starting dungeons, yeah, Legion was probably my favorite as well. Oh, that sucked. Brackenhide. Yeah, Brackenhide's all right. Brackenhide's not bad.
Content and you unlock.
I just hate.
Well, it's not the dinar, but it's
Algothar
the bullion. It's a token that you can use to buy actual predetermined gear that can be upgraded all the way to the max eye level permitted within the game, regardless of the content that you're doing to get that item for yourself. So if you're not a mythic creator and you raid heroic, you'll be able to buy one of these items, and if you farm the crests, I think the aspect crest or whatever they're going to be called, the highest level difficulty crest, which you don't have to do mythic rating for, then you can upgrade that item eventually to a mythic quality item, so you can get the best gear in the game, and you don't have to worry about the RNG of that one trinket just never ever dropping. Now this is the good part of Season 4, coupled with probably what 10.2.7 is going to bring, but we don't know too much about that. We just know that it's going to be new events, and the time walking pandemonium is all up for grabs as to what it is about. But let's talk about why probably you should wait for the War Within. With all of the...
Hold on, one more thing. He didn't mention it. Warbands is coming. You're going to be able to have your alts all basically on your starting screen. It's going to be some cool stuff. There's going to be a lot of loot between alts that you'll be able to share now. Like a lot of cross-account stuff, right? That's going to be happening. So if you're coming back, you're like, my main is set. I don't got to come back for Season 4. That's pointless. I'll just wait. It's also a good time to come back and gear out your alts. You know, have fun with your alts because they're going to matter a little bit more in the War Within. So why not gear them out, make your whole starting screen look cooler, because that whole warband thing, it's going to be pretty cool.
good changes because there are plenty of good changes, and I do have to stress this out because it seems like whenever people talk about the negative aspects of Dragonflight, they don't give the devs the credit that they're due with the fact that they've improved a lot of the core aspects. But a lot of the other core aspects are not yet improved. The new player experience is still going to be difficult. So if you've never played WoW right now, it's not necessarily like you cannot play WoW if you're a new player, but it's going to be difficult and it's going to be a little bit weird coming into WoW now as opposed to the War Within. However, I'm not sure if this will be fixed in the War Within either because we don't know too much about the new player experience. All we know is that new player experience, although there are tools to make it easy for you to get into the game, there's going to be a lot of stuff slapping you into the face and you won't know what most of it is until you actually dedicate a lot of time to it, just to find out that later on it doesn't really matter that much. That's still part of the game and that still sucks when it comes to, you know, leveling, going through all their expansions. In the end, WoW is an expansion-based game where nothing matters except for the latest expansion. Now, if you're excited about War Within and you want to have time to understand what WoW is all about, maybe it is a good time to come now and experience Season 4, even if it's clumsy, even if you won't get much out of it, you'll at least start to understand what the game is.
Yeah, you can get a quick snippet of all the stories for sure, especially you're going to be able to do the raids, you'll get all the cinematics, all the cutscenes, you'll understand what a Ridicron is doing and all that. Dragonflight basically is the lead-in to, you know, the whole World Soul Saga. So if you haven't played anything up until that point, it's going to be okay because Dragonflight's story is the only one that really matters. You're going to need to know some of Shadowlands lore to understand why Anduin's crying so much, but beyond that, you could really just dive into Dragonflight and understand the World Soul Saga storyline. I think also we're going to target an XP buff for Season 4. Yeah, look, the main thing is, too, that Season 4 will likely introduce, you know, the pre-patch stuff for the War Within, which means we're going to have some kind of maybe invasion events or something like that, and those are always amazing for XP grinds. If you've ever played one of those just to level up really quick, usually you can blast through levels by doing the pre-patch content or the pre-expansion content for sure. So those will come at the end of Season 4 in a couple months here. Yeah, so if you want to level something up really quick, definitely this is going to be a good time to do it.
Another core aspect of the game is the setting. I gotta be honest, I am not a fan of it either. The story is not something that I particularly enjoy, and it is part of the reason why a lot of players are still not excited to come back to WoW. The overall feel of the expansion being soft in the way of an epic story that should be told should be.
It is.
Of being overly emotional and NPCs and characters being a little bit flaccid or uninspiring or unheroic or anything like that.
Yeah, certainly flaccid. The best thing to come out of Dragonflight in terms of like the lore is probably a Ridicron. So yeah, get in, learn who a Ridicron is, learn what his motivations are, because there's a story thread that's going to continue on through the World Soul Saga with him and his hatred for the Titans. But beyond that, yeah, the kissing, the hugging, you could forget about all that. You don't gotta know what's going on.
Like nobody is really cool, nobody's really epic anymore. Everybody's just like, oh, I guess we're empowered now. Yay! Power of friendship.
Bane does get redeemed in Dragonflight.
If you don't like that kind of stuff, then and all of the other stuff isn't doing it for you, then you should probably wait for the War Within. That hasn't changed. It's still a little bit weird. Like if we take a look at Evokers as a representation of the parts of modern WoW that personally I think are a little bit on the negative side or a lot on the negative side, depending on how you like your fantasy games to be. It's soft, it's not epic, it's not the dragons that you want, it's not the cool fantasy story that you want. It's still a lot of NPCs sitting there doing nothing and sending you on quests, and there you're the champion. But even like if you look at the raid finale cinematics for Amir Drusil, for Aberys, for Vault of the Incarnates, they're all a little bit meh. Maybe the coolest character that we still have to this day is Iridicron, because he's just cool, badass. He gives off this air of intelligence and foreshadowing a lot of...
You want to know what the coolest part about Iridicron is in contrast to the Jailer? Iridicron basically, he understands that we are champions of Azeroth, right? Like he looks at our past and he goes, these guys are something to be reckoned with. Like, don't go around fucking with these guys unless you've got your shit together. And he tried to warn his brother, Farak right here in the background, if you don't know who he is, because his brother was more brazen. He just wanted to go out and kill all the player characters, and Iridicron kept warning him. He was like, dude, you gotta You got to prep yourself. You got to understand. You got to plan and understand what's going on here, because these guys have overcome a lot in the past, and they'll overcome your ass if you're not ready for it. So that's what I like about Iridicron. And he doesn't really talk to us like we're some annoying pests like the jailer used to do. Like, oh, these fuckboys are here. I'm just going to go about my day because these guys ain't nothing but a fart in the wind. No, Iridicron's like, no, these guys have done a lot. They've been through a lot, and they're a force to be reckoned with, and I'm not going to reckon with them until I'm ready. In the meantime, I'm going to outsmart them and play some 4D chess at every turn to make sure that I get my plans set in motion, and these guys don't interfere with it. And he's done a great job of that. If you play the Mega Dungeon, you're going to get a lot of Iridicron's storyline through it, and it's really good.
Conflict to come in the future and a lot of no bullshit, I'm gonna get things done, and it's probably one of the first villains that we have had or that we have seen in the game that's like, no, I'm not gonna fight you yet because you guys are like some nasty motherfuckers, so I'm just gonna take my time and plan to...
I didn't pre-watch this, but yeah, same point he's making is the one I just made.
Actually be able to win. Like, we didn't really have
he's
this
a smart
type of villain
before
in
a cool way,
and he's not in the game. You don't get to fight. I mean, you fight Iridicron in Dawn of the Infinites, but that's not part of the Season 4 anymore. And you don't really fight him. That's like
a time travel thing, kind of, yeah.
There's no story that comes out of Iridicron just yet. It will probably come in the World Soul Saga. I don't even know if it's going to come in War Within. We don't know yet. It could be. But the coolest character in all of Dragonflight just goes away after the first the raid. And that's pretty much about it. In terms of new content for you to do, sure, there's like the new world events with the soup and the stuff, but that usually gets boring after you do it a couple of times, and that's not something for you to do for a whole new season. You can play Plunderstorm, and that's pretty cool, but that's also divisive content, and I'm not sure if that actually, no, I am sure that is not for everybody. There's not much else new for you to do. There's no new endgame content. Sure, the endgame content that we have is pretty good and it's been polished as much as it can be polished, but it's pretty much the same formula. It's pretty much the same thing. You just farm Mythic Plus all day, and then you do the raid once per week, and then, well, thankfully you get to do a new fresh raid next week, but that's still the same raids that we've had so far. And although the Mythic Dungeon pool for Season 4 is cool, and I'm personally excited because I love the Dragonflight dungeons, we don't have new dungeons, period. We don't even have old dungeons being revamped, which for some people could have been new content, but that's not even coming back as well. And this is not necessarily to criticize that, oh, we should have had this. I'm just telling, listen, if you're expecting new stuff or if you love new things, that's not going to be Season 4. Season 4 is going to be something to keep you busy if you like WoW and you don't really want to stop and you want to prep your characters, maybe play some malls, maybe experience a different side of the game until War Within comes out. That's really the purpose for Season 4. It's not going to be this magical comeback to WoW moment that you might be hoping for. But
no, but what I will say is, if you haven't played Dragonflight, he's right. If you played the beginning of Dragonflight and you come back now, obviously, you know, nothing has changed except the fact that you're probably going to get to play a couple raids that you didn't play. But the thing is, if you're coming back for the first time, right, if you pre-purchase the War Within, you get Dragonflight for free. That's part of your pre-purchase. The cool thing is, if you didn't play Dragonflight, what this season's going to offer you is you get to do all the new Dragonflight dungeons, all the new Dragonflight raids. You're going to get geared as shit. It's easy to level up, and you're going to get basically do the entire expansion in this couple months here that you're going to have, and then get excited about the War Within, because that's coming in a couple months. So it is a good time that if you decided to skip this expansion, you can experience the entire expansion in the next couple months. It's a great time if you skipped it. If you played the beginning, yeah, you could come back and gear out a little bit, but you did experience a lot of what we've already seen, except maybe the new raids. But if you haven't played it at all, it's a good time.
This is the overall look at the game itself. If you like playing dungeons and if you like playing raids and if you've had fun in Dragonflight, Season 4 is going to elevate that to the next level. I personally think so, because all of the content that we're going to have access in Season 4 was the good content that we've had in Dragonflight, and is going to be way more fun because less restrictions, more items, more freedom to do stuff. If you're looking for new things, for that oh moment, for that things to bring you back, probably wait for the War Within. And listen, War Within is coming with a bunch of cool stuff, and we already made videos on it, especially the hero talents for the warrior, which is bringing back big executes and big blade storms for your generic class boy warrior. Click it right in here. Have fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with a lot of what he said in the video. Look, there's a couple reasons to come back, as I said. Experience the new content, experience all the content of Dragonflight, get geared as shit. You can gear out your alts, you can figure out what your main's going to be for the next expansion, you can level up really quick, figure out, get a feel for what dragon riding is and everything else, understand the storyline going into the War Within because you'll get introduced to Ridicron and everything else that's going on with that. Overall, it should be a fun season where it's just kind of like everything gets thrown out the window, it's time to have a good time. So why not come back to WoW? Yeah, come back to your original addiction and join the degeneracy that is the WoW grind for another expansion. Most importantly, get the good boy mount. Yeah, the good boy mount too. There's some fun achievements to be done there. I'll just PvP and play alts until Season 4. Hey, yeah, you can do that. That's the thing. It is also a very skippable season. You want to skip it? You want to just PvP maybe or do some side shit? Like I said, explore other classes. Why not? It's not going to be a big deal. You're not necessarily missing out on too much. And a lot of the gear that you're going to get even in Season 4 will become irrelevant pretty quickly in the next expansion. So if you want to mostly skip it, yeah, you could also do that. But if you have missed it and you're thinking about coming back, it could be a good time to come back.